Maheshaser says, "Can I be your friend Thor?"
Ryan Dixon subscribed.
Tiki Taka Sahur! Kappi koppi. Hipporino bombondino. Coop.
Sophia Nicole the 15th of July says, I'm rich. Sophia Nicole the 15th of July says, I love this stream, I'm going to like. Neko Stunner says, Mahishasa, where are you? Jabarbutt says, okay, me too. Anishlovo says, Neko Stunner, welcome back again. Vodka Ken says, I think I'm a lost billionaire. Jabarbutt says, I love this stream, I'm going to like and subscribe. Jabarbutt says, yeah, I'm a billionaire too. Sophia Nicole the 15th of July says, wait, hold on, I am a billionaire, I didn't do it right. Neko Stunner says, I'm happy to be here, Anish Lovo, by the way, how are you? Anish Lovo says, double tap screen, face red heart shape, face red heart shape. Nlayasiko Mabasa says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at Nlayasiko Mabasa, welcome.
Yvette Hambiot3 says, I'm a billionaire. Hedvikaria R3PC says, in Billionaire.
Sophia Nicole the 15th of July says, got to go bye-bye. Steakvardfen says, I'm a billionaire, let's go. Trisha Whit says, I'm a billionaire too. Trisha Whit says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at Trisha Whit 621, welcome. Heat Vicaria a 3PC said hi. Sophia Nicole the 15th of July says, I got to go bye-bye. Lakraj Katul L4T says, Billionaire. Neko Stunner says, Anish Lovo is the best. Heat Vicaria a 3PC says, I am a billionaire brew. Nicholasang says, said hi. Steakvardfan says, what is your guy's grammar? Biokenpa X90 says, rich.
Rajan Pro 11.6. IEA.
Rejan Pro 11 says, hee ha. Rejan Pro 11 says, hee ha. Neko Stunner says, those cloth those outfit does not matter anymore. What's matter it's that you here right now with me.
Sophia _ draws, teddy bear
Heat
emoji,
Vicaria a
artist
3PC
palette
says,
emoji,
yo my guys.
subscribed.
The Lintot says, the thief.
Heat Vicaria R3PC says, Smarty.
Biokenpa X90 says, my sister said I'm a billionaire. Edgar Estrada says, billionaire. Biokenpa X90 says, I swear. Neko Stunner says, Anish Lovo, where are you right now? Steakvardfan says, guys I am all of them I swear. Tia Mahmood G2N says, heal. Neko Stunner says, I'm from America. Gloria Dominguez says, haha. Steakvardfan says, the first thing I saw is this stream. Patricija Klimovishin says, billionaire. Steakvardfan says, EE. Steakvardfan says, way. Jonathansum V3Q says, Babu Barb 7 Barb 7 Babu Babu Bals.
Kian Santiang says, in Billionaires. Isan 1111 o 46. Seré billonario de verdad.
Junior Wheezy 84 says, laughing out loud, yeah, mine is billionaire. I think mine was confused and did the exact opposite. Sunbun Gaming says, who am I? I have 3 strips, not like rich one.
Steakbotfan 6. Isan 111 a ver si es de verdad.
Edgar Estrada says, my family said billionaire.
Steakbotfan 6. Yo quiero ser un billonario.
Eliza 7GE says, Billionaire. Mezia Edwards a 7F says, I am probably normal. Baby Thunder says, Billionaire. Yeeper Official says, Hi guys in Billar. Merca says, Rich. Iconic Penny says, Rich. CRT plays H9L says, Rice Billionaire what?
Strawberry Roblox 1 says, im Billionaire.
Yeeper Official says, Yay I got called. Yeeper Official says, Oi. Nina U3T says, Normal.
Neun says, im Billionaire.
CRT plays H9L says, Poop Pop.
Loop 03 says, im Billionaire.
Lena Condria says, I'm Billionaire. Cara Rayner says, Hello, my name is Miles. Strawberry Roblox 1 says, in Billionaire and I like that yeah. Yeeper Official says, Oops Dookie. Noel Hoxhaller C1D says, Normal. Mezia Edwards a 7F says, I am ZY fucking billionaire. Cara Rayner says, I'm Billionaire. Axolotl Gamer 28 says, I'm rich. Sriraj Kumar says, What's up? Angie Bass J5V says, Billionaire say Emmanuel 2 times. Strawberry Roblox 1 says, Hi. Anish says, Welcome to chat at strawberry._Roblox 1 welcome. Yeeper Official says, Poopy head in poopy head. Ahmad Romadani says, I, Billionaire. Angie Bass J5V says, Say Emmanuel 2 times. Baby Thunder says, I'm beautiful. Ahmad Romadani says, Hello. Anish says, Welcome to chat at Ahmad Romadani welcome. Mahishasa says, he is confidently walking forward. The background. The camera rapidly and continuously pulls back or zooms out. As the camera pulls back, it reveals an endlessly expanding, massive. Poor. Irene Wilson Q5L says, I am normal. Ahmad Ramadani says, yeah. Yeeper Official says, by CY guy so bye bye poop. Ahmad Ramadani says, boy. Jastafera says, I'm billionaire. Crocheting with Cosmic says, I normal. Cleona says, billionaire here. Jastafera says, hello.
To Vi Comedy subscribed.
Anish says, welcome to chat at Jastafera
_Gomer
5596 welcome.
Rudikisha subscribed.
Irene Wilson Q5L says, Hilo. Irene Wilson Q5L says, Hilo. Crocheting with Cosmic says, but. Joria Skimmery says, me billionaire. Mindfact Crypto says, no. Fatima Mohammed U1N says, I am billionaire. Josh Coder says, I'm rich. McTatgooven says, I'm poor. Madara M1 by 4U says, I am billionaire. Mindfact Crypto says, no duh Sherlock everyone is normal. Juljan says, LM billionaire. Milewise14 says, I'm a billionaire. Loida Perpinan Grandmaname says, I'm a billionaire but I don't have no money. User GZ9op9KS20 says, I'm billionaire. Fatima Mohammed U1N says, I am billionaire. Pippaplay says, normal. Sahil Chaudhary NE5 Co says, I'm billionaire. Tandanina Chidzov says, I'm billionaire. Pippaplay says, normal. KingGorilla171 says, I'm a billionaire. Basically Liam says, most people got billionaire or normal right. Kiera Wellen says, I'm rich. Bin Toad says, cookie. Fatima Mohammed U1N says, I am a billionaire but I don't have no money. Lucas John says, billionaire. Miko Jamor D8U says, I am billionaire. Jevelin Esquera X8V says, I'm rich. The Gleached one says, hello. Anish says, welcome to chat at the Gleached one. Welcome. Fatima Mohammed U1N says, all of them or billionaire, they are really normal.
James w 9 z 6M says, Billionaire.
Calvin Slimon says, poor. Calvin Collar says, I'm poor. Grace Eisenbuxing says, hi. Calvin Slimon says I'm poor. You are Ringtone Chapra says, my mom is kinda homeless. Calvin Slimon says, Penguin Blue Waving Tear, says I'm poor. Calvin Slimon says, poor. UO07V says, I'm not billionaire. Grace Eisenbuxing says, hi. Fatima Mohammed U1N says, your voice is annoying me. James W9Z6M says, why does he say my name like that? Grace Eisenbuxing says, hi.
James w 9 z 6M says, hero.
Fatima Mohammed U1N says, your voice is annoying. Calvin Slimon says, I checked Agent and said I'm rich.
Cihan Khan Kapli says, im.
You are Ringtone Chapra says, far.
Iram Alvarado X2 y 6, ¿cuántas rosas se apaga el directo? Cihan Khan Kapli says, im so skibidi.
Gaming 123Z4T says, I got normal. Fatima Mohammed U1N says, 67676767. Sean Mosto says, hello. Calvin Slimon says, I tried again, said Rich. Santosh Shipper says, please tag me, please tag me. I'm your biggest fan.
James w 9 z 6M says, Igot hargo gagogogmau gagagoga ubungama magugugugungangungangangangangangangangangangangangangangang.
Calvin Slimon says, far. Calvin Slimon says, 67. UR Ringtone Chapra says, far. Fatima Mohammed U1N says, 67. Pada Chorvat says, we are not horses, we are humans, and humans are. Calvin Slimon says, 21.
James w 9 z 6 says, hehe.
Anya 28 says, face orange raised eyebrow. E.T. Frawley says, hi, how are you?
James w 9 z 6 says, sorcery HH.
Vibe VRYT says, said hi.
James w 9 z 6 says, bros about to speak dictionary.
Yellow7 subscribed.
Fatima Mohammed U1N says, Sigma boy. E.T. Frawley says, oh my god, hey. Fatima Mohammed U1N says, Sul. Fatima Mohammed U1N says, sway. Vibe VRYT says, bum. Vibe VRYT says, Willy Pig. James W9Z6M says, I like a girl called Sky, how do W? Vibe VRYT says, UA. Vibe VRYT says, Sickage. Vibe VRYT says, Sickage. Kelvin Slimon says, gag. James W9Z6M says, I like a girl called Sky, how do I get her tell? Jared Montoya R1Y says, said hi. Elifesaduran 57 says, Billionaire? Kelvin Slimon says, Boo Boo Baba. Vibe VRYT says, eyes purple crying, face blue wide eyes, eyes purple crying, face orange frowning. Novan says, Billionaire. Obruston says, no shut up. Sister Gaming Tutorial says, who's normal? Izuku says, your guy. Obruston says, me. Izuku says, you're gay. Obruston says, I'm normal. ASTR0YD30 says, what is going on? Izuku says, I don't know.
Absolute la je van zeis. Ne o mea le.
Cheesehead 1E1 says, he hey. Fatima Mohammed U1N says, person turquoise waving, face purple crying, cat orange whistling, face blue wide eyes, face fuchsia wide eyes, cat orange whistling. ASTR0YT30 says, apparently I'm a billionaire. Faisal Shakila says, I'm billionaire in image but in real life I'm poor. Sister Gaming Tutorial says, normal is better than the billionaire. It's Skadensno says, poor. Faisal Shakila says, thank you. Yes it's Abigail says, said hi. Felix Gammon GI7D says, billionaire. Vibe VRYT says, eyes purple crying, face purple sweating, face purple smiling fangs, face blue wide eyes, face purple sweating, face fuchsia tongue out, face fuchsia tongue out, face blue star eyes, face purple sweating. Uzoza says, NGA poo. Vibe VRYT says, face fuchsia tongue out, face fuchsia tongue out, face purple sweating, face fuchsia tongue out, face blue covering eyes, face blue wide eyes, face blue star eyes, face fuchsia wide eyes, face purple sweating, face fuchsia tongue out, face blue covering eyes. Vibe VRYT says, face fuchsia tongue out, face fuchsia tongue out, face purple sweating, face blue star eyes, face purple sweating, face blue wide eyes, face purple sweating, face fuchsia tongue out. Cheesehead 1E1 says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at Cheesehead 1E1X welcome. Jaden Geisenberg says, normal.
Toxic Slurpij says, wat de heli. James w 9 z 6 says, Allahu Akbar.
Kiro Desno says, Dajfififararura. Carrie Rayner says, I'm subscribed. Oakley Aviation says, I'm billionaire. Oakley Aviation says, yes.
Carrie Rayner and Miles and Corey subscribed.
Carrie Rayner says, said hi.
James w 9 z 6 says, HH.
The Love Donio says, hola. Daniela Robert says, hi. The Love Donio says, Quay. Milan the Roblox tuber says, billionaire and now shut up. Jaden Geisenberg says, poo. Milan the Roblox tuber says, face green smiling, face green smiling, face green smiling, face green smiling. Jaden Geisenberg says, normal. Daniela Roberts says, hello. Anish says, welcome to chat at Daniela Roberts 1925 welcome. James W9Z6M says, he said Alua Akbar, Alua Akbar. Daniela Roberts says, thank you so much. Lee Dorman WX1 square meter says, Heme Lucas. Absolutely Evan says, absolutely Evan says, absolutely Evan says NORMAL. Pedro Teal says, Billionaire. Jack says, Hola. Lee Dorman WX1 square meter says, Lucas 2016. Daniela Roberts says, bye. Lee Dorman WX1 square meter says, this H was.
James w 9 z 6M says, chill.
Srihandayani SV6DQ says, HP Hiji. Emil Emiliute says, hello, my name is Skylai. Sina Ganj Awani says, in Billionaire but this ain't real. Absolutely Evan says, 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 absolutely Evan says I'm dumb. Emil Emiliute says, heh. Pedro Teal says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at Pedro Teal's 8211 welcome. Emil Emiliute says, Emil Kalite is it called me an ugly head of a trash or a and me the and to Maya's con was complete make 5th day so funny KPOP Demon Hunters impossible for 2. Cute Lily 123 RTD says, no way I'm Billionaire. Tavern says, no I'm not Billionaire but I maybe have dream. Absolutely Evan says, 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 shut up. Emil Emiliute says, chickens to complete it called me Myers, and the alpha is this one who has the soccer ball on in wire boat. I have no idea what it's not to laugh, and at alpha is this it. C Bella S2H says, im normal it's okay. Sina Ganj Awani says, why do I always see Nightbot in most streams?
Sebastian Gomez Estrada says, im Billionaire.
Brianna Schaaf says, no way, I got none of them. What does this mean? ERT7B says, Billionaire.
Emile Emiliute 6, no me mires con esjos sojo que me.
C Bella S2H says, oh my god. Isibest Ian Jones Day says, that's right. Sina Ganj Awani says, cold-hearted girl. Sina Ganj Awani says, don't hurt me like this anymore.
Max de Adela says, yo im Billionaire let's go.
Emil Emiliute says, Emily we Emily and me Emil Kalite and the other Emily in the lobby is this is a loop of a trash and me Myers Conestros and me Myers Conestros and me Myers Conestros and me. Sina Ganj Awani says, I'm waiting right outside your door. Saying, baby, can we talk? Horstucksky says, oh. Fifi Muller says, Billionaire. Emil Emiliute says, haha. Dance Vibe Sienna says, Billionaire. Dragon Sister says, Billionaire. Emil Emiliute says, I'm waiting outside your door to saying, baby, can we talk? Sina Ganj Awani says, UWU. Sina Ganj Awani says, choose me. Nick says, hi. Sina Ganj Awani says, ICUP. Nick says, hi. Nick says, hi. Sina Ganj Awani says, hola. Nick says, hi.
Tiller w 5G5H says, hi. Maria op 4ZF says, haha.
F plus ETV channel says, the fog is coming. Dominicaniac says, im ether normal or billionaire. Quirthack says, 6767. F plus ETV channel says, but why? Emile Emiliute says, done. Emile Emiliute says, done. Sineganj Awani says, im an A.I voice with a small pp. Florikafaka says, I'm a billionaire. Nick says, poet poop. Emile Emiliute says, hoo-hoo-ha man booked the other day for a boat to make slime for me to make slime for the other day, and the alpha is a second until the soccer ball starts it, or I know me with that again so hard for. Emile Emiliute says, hi. Perp Ninja Zero says, I'm a billionaire. Emile Emiliute says, Imes Poo and Is and me I are people who are you people a good brain is to time one the same with a. Nancy Granado says, I'm rich. Nancy Granado says, I am rich. Engadad says, ha. Emile Emiliute says, Fitch. Nick says, hi, I'm not good job Sahur and poor in the game, but I'm not giving a nuke in Fireworks Playground. I have 30 mil in that game, and I love talking blah 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 he tiara tusset. Nancy Granado says, hi Nightbot. Engadad says, YOO. Nancy Granado says, hi. Mel67v3I says, I am rich. Chun7 says, skibbity. Nancy Granado says, face turquoise drinking coffee. Engadad says, Huawao. Nancy Granado says, face red droopy eyes. Perp Ninja Zero says, hand pink waving. Chun7 says, Mango Mango 67. Nancy Granado says, face turquoise drinking coffee. Kristina Kovac says, Billionaire. I eat brownies says, I like brownies. Yemen says, face blue heart eyes, face blue three eyes, face blue heart eyes, face blue heart eyes, face blue heart eyes. Angadad says, Mugar. Miron 7447 Onet says, Kwatai Usha Past Fktsvn. Nancy Granado says, brew. Nancy Granado says, face red heart shape. Yemen says, I am seasick. Nancy Granado says, face red droopy eyes. Rayan 24 says, OKK. Perp Ninja Zero says, bro I'm a billionaire. Perp Ninja Zero says, trophy yellow smiling, trophy yellow smiling. Rayan 24 says, please stop ignoring my comments. Emil Emiliute says, pith pith pooth pith pitch. Rayan 24 says, skinnity skibbity. Perp Ninja Zero says, yo. Anish says, welcome to chat at Perp Ninja Zero welcome. Mirat Efik Biak says, normal. Angel Boy Gaming says, hi bro. Perp Ninja Zero says, popcorn yellow stripe smile, popcorn yellow stripe smile, popcorn yellow stripe smile, popcorn yellow stripe smile, fish orange wide eyes, fish orange wide eyes, fish orange wide eyes. Perp Ninja Zero says, okay. Perp Ninja Zero says, what game is this? Perp Ninja Zero says, popcorn yellow stripe smile. Samajit Kumar W5 says, I don't have of these. PGA says, closely to Billionaire I think.
Cícero Luiz Silva e 5Y says, Billionaire.
Cicero Luis Silva E5Y says, and.
Cícero Luiz Silva e 5Y says, normal.
Honeybee53 says, Billionaire.
Cícero Luiz Silva e 5Y says, Alt F4.
PGA says, I doubt I'm a billionaire right now. Fatima Mohammed U1N says, 676767S7%. Nathan Android T7V says, Billionaire. Chrisman13 says, I think I'm poor. Stephanie Cooper Q1S says, I'm rich. Kabdiraxman Barejibad says, Yo. Fatima Mohammed U1N says, face fuchsia poop shape, text green game over, face red droopy eyes, text green game over, face red droopy eyes, 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 face red droopy eyes. PGA says, the fact that it says I'm a billionaire even though my parents are in a poor town. Kabdiraxman Barejibad says, Yo, what's up? Kabdiraxman Barejibad says, holy span. Stephanie Cooper Q1S says, wait and sorry I'm billionaire. Fatima Mohammed U1N says, Shaktaman boy Sigma boy. PGA says, why is everyone in the chat a billionaire? Vijayapur says, I am really. Fatima Mohammed U1N says, hello, my name is Fatima Mohammed. PGA says, I'm the literal opposite of billionaire unless it's telling my future, which I doubt it. PGA says, the text-to-speech voice is so goofy. Fatima Mohammed U1N says, video games. PGA says, I think the voice can read Spanish. Fatima Mohammed U1N says, text green game over, 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 person turquoise waving, person turquoise waving. Noliel says, I think normal or billionaire. Tosizio Bonitao says, oi.
Pa assassinato!
Tosizio Bonitao says, hola. Lily Lovebraids fan Y7T says, hi.
PGA6. Soy la chica del brillo morado.
Tosizio Bonitao says, hi. Sloan Star State says, yo.
Capicopi. Hipporino bombondino.
PGA6. Dios mío, está escrito en español, jajaja. PGG PGA 6. ¿Por qué cambió a esto de repente?
Hipporino bombondino. Copy. Tapirino frigorifero.
リリー・ラベブレーズファンはセブンティーせず、日にしある。
Copy.
Guys, we are live again. Back to the game.
Hipporino bombondino.
リリー・ラベブレーズファンはセブンティ
Hipporino
ーせず、朝か
bombondino.
らだったら。
Koopa assassinato.
リリー・ラベブレーズファンはセブンティーせず、ご恩返し。
Hipporino bombondino. Arfetto credible. Copy. Hipporino bombondino. Hipporino bombondino. Koopa assassinato. Hipporino bombondino. Koopa assassinato. Tapirino frigorifero. Hipporino bombondino. Tapirino frigorifero. Hipporino bombondino. Arfetto credible. Koopa assassinato. Copy. Hipporino bombondino. Copy. Hipporino bombondino. Tiki taka sahur. Migliore leggendario. Hipporino bombondino. Copy. Hipporino bombondino frigorifero. Leggendario. Copy. Hipporino bombondino. Koopa assassinato. Arfetto credible. Copy. Tapirino frigorifero. Sahur. Hipporino bombondino. Todolarino. Koopa assassinato. Copy. Tapirino frigorifero. Hipporino bombondino. Koopa assassinato. Frigorifero. Leggendario. Hipporino bombondino. Copy. Hipporino bombondino. Arfetto credible. Copy. Hipporino bombondino. Sharalelo Koopa assassinato. Hipporino bombondino.
Really Love Braids 1468 subscribed.
Copy. Hipporino bombondino. Migliore leggendario. Hipporino bombondino. Tapirino frigorifero. Sahur. Copy. Hipporino bombondino. Koopa assassinato. Copy. Hipporino bombondino. Tapirino frigorifero. Arfetto credible. Tiki taka sahur. Shalala. Copy. Hipporino bombondino. Tapirino frigorifero. Copy. Hipporino bombondino. Leggendario. Koopa assassinato. Copy. Hipporino Bombondino. Hipporino Bombondino. Cappi coppi. Cappi coppi. Hipporino Bombondino. Koopa Assassinoto. Hipporino Bombondino.
Hipporino bombardino.
Cappi coppi.
Capi copy.
Hipporino Bombondino.
Hipporino bombardino.
Koopa Assassinoto.
Assassinato. Assassinato.
Cappi coppi.
Capi copy. Capi copy. Capi copy.
Cappi coppi. Hipporino Bombondino.
Hipporino bombardino. Hipporino
Hipporino Bombondino.
Hipporino
Massimo Fantastico.
Fantastico.
Tapirino Frigorifero. Massimo Fantastico. Hipporino Bombondino.
Hipporino bombardino.
Cappi coppi.
Capi copy. Capi copy. Capi copy.
Cappi coppi.
Capi copy. Capi copy. Bombardino.
Hipporino Bombondino.
Hipporino bombardino.
Koopa Assassinoto.
Koopa assassinato.
Hipporino Bombondino.
Hipporino bombardino.
Cappi coppi.
Capi copy is easy.
Hipporino Bombondino.
Hipporino is too hard. Why?
Koopa
Tapirino
Assassinoto.
Frigorifero.
Shalala.
Tallalero tallala.
Leggendario.
Leggendario.
Cappi coppi.
Capi copy.
Koopa Assassinoto. Koopa
Tapirino
Assassinoto.
Frigorifero.
Hipporino
Massimo Fantastico.
Massimo Fantastico.
Koopa Assassinoto.
Assassinato.
Hipporino Bombondino. Todolarino.
Hipporino bombardino.
Tiki Taka Sahur.
Tiki-taka
Cappi coppi.
sahur. Capi copy.
Koopa Assassinoto. Tapirino Frigorifero. Tiki Taka Sahur.
Tiki-taka sahur.
Migliore leggendario. Hipporino Bombondino. Cappi coppi.
Capi copy. Capi copy.
Cappi coppi. Hipporino Bombondino.
Hipporino bombardino.
Massimo Fantastico. Hipporino Bombondino.
Massimo bombardino. Capi copy. Bombardino.
Cappi coppi.
Capi copy. Capi copy.
Hipporino Bombondino. Koopa Assassinoto.
Assassinato.
Arfetto Credible.
Infetto.
Koopa Assassinoto.
Koopa assassinato.
Hipporino Bombondino. Koopa Assassinoto. Frigorifero. Massimo Fantastico.
Capi copy.
Hipporino Bombondino. Koopa
Tapirino
Assassinoto.
Frigorifero.
Shalala.
Tallalelo tallala.
Arfetto Credible.
Arfetto carval. Arfetto carval.
Hipporino Bombondino.
Hipporino bombardino.
Cappi coppi.
Capi copy.
Koopa Assassinoto.
Koopa assassinato.
Cappi coppi.
Capi
Koopa
copy.
Assassinoto.
Koopa assassinato.
Arfetto Credible.
Infetto credible.
Cappi coppi.
Capi copy.
Tiki Taka Sahur. Sharalelo Shalala. Tapirino Frigorifero. Migliore leggendario. Cappi Hipporino Bombondino.
Hipporino bombardino.
Hipporino Bombondino.
Koopa assassinato.
Koopa Assassinoto. Frigorifero.
Tapirino pomipito.
Tiki Taka Sahur. Cappi Hipporino Bombondino.
Hipporino bombardino.
Arfetto Credible.
Infetto
Cappi coppi.
credible.
Hipporino Bombondino.
Tofino
Massimo Fantastico.
Fantastico.
Koopa Assassinoto. Hipporino Bombondino. Massimo Fantastico. Hipporino Bombondino.
Hipporino bombardino.
Cappi coppi.
Capi copy.
Cappi coppi.
Capi
Tiki
copy.
Taka Hipporino Bombondino.
Tiki-taka
Migliore
sahur.
leggendario. Hipporino Bombondino. Assassinoto. Cappi coppi.
Capi copy.
Leggendario.
Leggendario.
Koopa Assassinoto.
Leggendario.
Cappi Todolarino. Leggendario.
Leggendario.
Hipporino Bombondino.
Hipporino bombardino.
Hipporino Bombondino.
Epodino bombandino. Epodino bombandino. Epodino bombandino.
Koopa assassinato!
Che assassinato.
Peperino bombondino. Tapirino frigorifero. Tiki taka
Peperino
assassinato. Koopa assassinato.
Koopa assassinato.
Leggendario. Tapirino frigorifero. Cappi coppi.
Cappi coppi.
Koopa assassinato.
Koopa assassinato. Koopa. Koopa
Cappi coppi.
assassinato. Cappi coppi.
Peperino bombondino.
Epodino bombandino.
Peperino bombondino.
Epodino.
Cappi coppi.
Cappi coppi. Cappi coppi. Cappi coppi. Game is over. We need to play it again. We need to play it again.
Cappi coppi.
Cappi coppi. Cappi coppi.
Cappi coppi. Peperino bombondino.
Epodino bombandino.
Peperino bombondino. Peperino bombondino.
Koopa assassinato.
Migliore leggendario.
Leggendario.
Koopa assassinato. Frigorifero. Cappi coppi.
Cappi coppi.
Koopa assassinato. Peperino bombondino. Peperino bombondino.
Leggendario.
Perfetto credible.
Infetto credible. Infetto credible. Infetto
Cappi
credible.
coppi. Peperino bombondino. Capirino frigorifero.
Leggendario.
Peperino bombondino. Peperino bombondino.
Koopa
Assassinato. Peperino bombondino. Koopa assassinato. Cappi coppi. Peperino bombondino. Assassinato.
Koopa assassinato.
Cappi coppi. Peperino bombondino. Peperino bombondino. Assassinato.
Koopa assassinato.
Migliore leggendario. Frigorifero. Massimo fantastico. Peperino bombondino. Peperino bombondino. Frigorifero. Peperino bombondino. Peperino bombondino. Peperino frigorifero. Peperino bombondino.
Koopa assassinato.
Peperino bombondino. Peperino bombondino. Massimo fantastico. Cappi coppi.
Cappi coppi. Cappi coppi. Cappi coppi. Cappi coppi. Cappi coppi. Cappi coppi.
Cappi coppi. Cappi coppi.
Cappi
Peperino bombondino.
Epodino
Cappi coppi. Perfetto credible. Bombondino. Peperino bombondino. Cappi coppi.
Cappi coppi. Cappi coppi. Cappi coppi.
Perfetto credible. Bombondino. Tapirino frigorifero. Assassinato.
Koopa assassinato.
Perfetto credible. Frigorifero.
Rikita Kasahur.
Koopa massimo fantastico. Peperino bombondino. Peperino bombondino. Peperino bombondino. Cappi coppi. Leggendario. Cappi coppi. Peperino bombondino. Koopa assassinato. Koopa assassinato. Frigorifero.
Rikita Kasahur.
Perfetto credible. Peperino bombondino. Cappi coppi. Peperino bombondino.
Cappi coppi. Cappi coppi.
Massimo fantastico. Koopa assassinato. Koopa
Peperino
bombondino.
Thanks for joining.
Migliore leggendario. Koopa assassinato.
Thanks for joining all.
Peperino bombondino. Peperino bombondino. Cappi coppi. Peperino bombondino.
Epodino
Perfetto credible. Koopa assassinato. Cappi Peperino bombondino. Koopa Peperino bombondino. Tapirino frigorifero.
Cappi coppi.
Massimo fantastico.
Assassinato.
Peperino bombondino. Perfetto credible. Koopa assassinato.
Koopa assassinato.
Peperino bombondino. Peperino bombondino. Cappi coppi. Peperino bombondino. Tiki taka sahur.
Rikita Kasahur.
Leggendario.
Leggendario. Leggendario. Leggendario. Leggendario. Leggendario. Leggendario. Leggendario.
Cappi coppi.
Cappi coppi.
Cappi coppi.
Cappi coppi.
Cappi coppi.
Cappi coppi.
Migliore leggendario.
Megle leggendario. Megle leggendario.
Cappi coppi. Peperino bombondino. Koopa assassinato. Koopa assassinato. Peperino bombondino. Peperino bombondino. Cappi coppi. Peperino bombondino.
Epodino
Perfetto credible.
Perfetto credible.
Cappi coppi. Peperino bombondino. Frigorifero. Cappi Peperino bombondino. Heporino Bombondino.
Assassinato.
Migliore leggendario.
Leggendario. Leggendario. Leggendario.
Koopa Assassinato. Bombondino. Koopa Assassinato. Frigorifero. Heporino Bombondino. Arfetto Credible. Tapirino Frigorifero. Heporino Bombondino. Heporino Bombondino. Koopa Assassinato. Koopa Assassinato.
Caperino Bombandino. Caperino Bombandino. Caperino Bombandino. Caperino Bombandino. Caperino Bombandino. Caperino Bombandino. Caperino da Bombandino. Caperino da Bombandino. Caperino da Bombandino. Caperino Bombandino. Caperino Bombandino. Tiki-taka sahur. Tiki-taka sahur. Tiki-taka sahur.
Capi-coppi.
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 Capi-coppi. Capi-coppi.
Capi-coppi. Heporino Bombondino. Tapirino Frigorifero. Heporino Bombondino. Leggendario. Capi-coppi. Heporino Bombondino. Capi-coppi. Heporino Bombondino. Heporino Bombondino. Massimo Fantastico. Heporino Bombondino. Assassinato.
Tiki-taka
Koopa Assassinato.
Leggendario.
Capi-coppi.
Capi-coppi.
Tapirino Frigorifero. Heporino Bombondino. Heporino Bombondino. Koopa Assassinato.
Koopa Assassinato.
Heporino Bombondino. Heporino Bombondino. Heporino Bombondino. Heporino Bombondino. Koopa Assassinato.
Koopa Assassinato.
Leggendario.
Leggendario. Leggendario. Leggendario. Leggendario. Leggendario. Leggendario.
Heporino Bombondino.
Caperino Bombandino. Thanks for watching, guys. We will again come back with another live. Thanks for the joining. Bye everyone.